He will reveal himself to his victim. He will then walk up to them like, and he just chokes the shit out of them. Just, I'm gonna fucking choke you. Doesn't fucking bite them. Doesn't do anything like that. Just reveal myself. She just struts up to them, chat, with them thick, hairy werewolf cheeks, and he just starts just choking them, which is very weird. Hello, I just wanted to thank you for clicking on my video, and I wanted to let you know not only do I create content in my YouTube channel here, Class in a Glass, but I'm also on Twitch where I play single-player games, multiplayer games, I do movie reviews, cartoon reviews, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Also, it would be a big help if you can check out my Patreon, where you can gain access to audio commentaries, reactions, and the ability to submit questions for my podcasts and videocasts. And all that content can be found in the links below. In the meantime, enjoy the video. But I gotta watch all these things, chat. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and let me tell you about what I watched recently, chat. Okay? Which I also did a full-length video and audio commentary for. So, hey, if you end up liking my review of The Wolfman, chat, then check out my commentary. Alex Bernal can attest for this. I did it for him. I did it for you, baby. All right? It was one of his custom requests, chat. Did The Wolfman. Please do check it out. It's available at the $2 tier level, chat. Very inexpensive. But now I shall tell you the tale of The Wolfman, or at the very least, some background about the film, chat. Okay? I mean, by this time, Universal was pumping out these monster movies. Everything from Dracula to Frankenstein to The Mummy, chat. Various sequels, Bride of Frankenstein, Daughter of Dracula, chat. The Invisible Man was already out. Several other Mummy sequels were already out. There was a lot. And then we had The Wolfman in 1941. This was actually Universal. This was not Universal's first Wolfman movie. Little do people know, there was actually another Wolfman film released before this one. It was just not very commercially successful at all and kind of forgotten. And it was called Werewolf of London, which is what John Landis, like when he made an American Werewolf of London, that's what he's referencing. That kind of long forgotten werewolf movie. But yeah, that movie came out, it came and went, and they said, okay, let's try this again. And let's use one of our biggest monster movie stars, or like, you know, based on a legend, at least maybe the son of a legend, and that was Lon Chaney Jr. They cast him as Larry Talbot, as the titular character of the Wolfman. They had a pretty big cast for this movie. Everyone from Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney Jr., which obviously, of course, what I just said. You had Ashlyn Ankers and Claude Rains, who got top billing and famously played the Invisible Man in 1933's Invisible Man, chap. And you know, watching this again recently, it did make me, because before I was like, you know, Wolfman, I like it, but I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites. But watching it again, I really do enjoy this movie. I really like Lon Chaney Jr.'s performance, especially because the Wolfman is like much, I guess, you know, even to a greater degree than Frankenstein's monster, you feel so sorry for him. You empathize with him, chat. You have such sympathy with him because of his affliction, like he can't control it at all, and he's like of this curse. And Lon Chaney Jr., his performance is very nuanced and very sad, and how he has to live with this thing through multiple fucking movies, and really like the only thing he wants in the end is just to die. Like, and I was remembering because I was doing some research about the Wolfman, I was looking up the sequels, like the premise in the sequel to the Wolfman, which is Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, is Larry Talbot's like, other than fighting the monster, Frankenstein's monster, I just want to die. I just want to fucking die. That's all I really want. And it's like, God, that is so fucking sad. It's like, Jesus Christ. But, you know, when this movie came out, it was a huge commercial hit and critical hit. Universal was actually really concerned, though, when they released this, because they didn't think it was going to do well. Not because of the quality of it. They weren't concerned about the quality, but because this movie came out several days after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, before the outbreak of America's involvement in World War II. And they thought, well, because, you know, no one's going to want to go see a horror movie with, you know, war on the horizon. But apparently people did. And they went out and they saw this, and this became one of the most successful films of the Universal Monster movie franchise. Had a budget about $180,000. I don't think they have the exact box office numbers, but it did very well, which, you know, managed to spawn multiple sequels and multiple other movies, which featured Lon Chaney Jr. as the Wolfman, who played the Wolfman in, I think, in every like major appearance. Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, and then in House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula, and then Abbott Costello Meet the Wolfman. He made like all his appearances. Yeah. It's interesting. The movie was such a success, and a lot of the actors have great chemistry, especially between Lon Chaney Jr. and his female co-star in Evelyn Ankers. But there is some sad history with this film. Like many actors at the time, especially the ones that work for Universal in these monster movies, Lon Chaney Jr. was a notorious alcoholic, much like Claude Rains, who was an alcoholic, and Bela Lugosi, and who was an alcoholic and drug abuser. But apparently, when they were making the movie, when they were doing principal photography, to punish Lon Chaney Jr. for his alcoholism, he was forced to share a room with Evelyn Ankers, which is kind of weird that they have to share a dressing room. That's like, shouldn't they keep like the male and female separate? But I think because of this, he became like really belligerent and would constantly harass Evelyn Ankers on set, where he would like scare her and bully her. Like when he was like in the werewolf makeup, when he was in the werewolf makeup, he would go up and he would sneak up on her and scare her all the time. It's pretty fucked up. What Lon Chaney Jr. did. And there was like other things. There were some other crazy stories about the making of this movie. There was a whole action scene that was supposed to take place where the Wolfman was supposed to fight a bear. And that you can actually find it in archive footage in early trailers. But they were never able to finish the scene because the bear fucking escaped and actually chased Evelyn Ankers around set. And she was saved, I think, by one of the staff who pulled her up a fucking ladder. Very, very weird. The history of this movie is odd. It's funny. It's kind of tragic, but yeah, it's just like really do yourself a favor, chat, and watch some documentaries about the making of these movies, or just look on Wikipedia and just learn about these actors and things and what they did on fucking set. It's fucking nuts. Dark Status, welcome to stream. Hope you're doing very well. Good to see you. And but yeah, no, I mean, it became one of the most famous Universal monster movies, one of the most highest grossing films of their franchise, and birthed an incredible creation of the world. Now, of course, werewolf mythology was already known, lycanthropy, but it was not known to the masses. Lycanthropy was known, but this movie did introduce a number of things. Everything to do with like the werewolf's weakness to silver and a silver bullet. The idea of a full moon is what causes the transformation. Like before, this movie, that stuff wasn't really seen or heard of or known. Like a lot of this movie created the mythology around werewolves and what we know them to be today, and which we've seen in multiple movies over the past 80 fucking years, which is pretty incredible. I really do like that, but yeah, so I just want to give you a brief background history to the film. But now, my friends, let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty details of this movie. Also, I wanted to say, this is directed by George Wagner and Kurt Sinemak. Who, his original script for this movie, funny enough, he actually had no werewolf transformation scenes. What he wanted to do originally, but Universal said, we need werewolf stuff, he wanted to make it more of a psychological thriller, where he didn't want to show a single werewolf. He wanted the audience to think like, okay, is Larry Talbot actually a werewolf, or is he just fucking crazy? And it was going to go back and forth and stuff. But Universal said, we need fucking monsters and werewolves and shit. You know how many yaks we killed? You know how many fucking yaks we slaughtered? We're going to put that hair on him, okay? Jesus Christ. It needs to happen. It needs to happen. Oh, I also got to ask you a question, chat, before we go ahead and get into it. How many of you have seen the 1941 Universal monster movie classic, chat, The Wolfman? I gotta ask you that quick. Newsy Ducky, Wolfman. Did you talk to me about Chris? I kind of do. Well, you know what? Honestly, I kind of do look like him. I kind of do look like him. Oh, Lord. Already, it's been a long time years ago. Get ready for a 2010 movie, I think. Oh, boy. Hey, no. A bajillion ties, says Hamilton Burger. Glee, good to see Glee. Not me. Haven't seen many movies this old. Axel, I've not. Alex Bernal, I have. You have. Andy, I have. And again, they shaved. No, they killed him. They murdered the yaks. Andy, stop lying. Stop lying. You know this, okay? You know this. Jason, I've watched the movie. Chris Ayers, I can picture you eating people pretty easily. Oh, yeah, man. Got that fiber. I need that man meat. I need that man meat. I think my dad made me watch it once, but I don't remember this is Kaz Faye. Dark Stays. I have it on DVD. Seen the whole franchise. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty much very similar, chap. Newsy, that guy Chris, our most handsome and luscious host, fondles Chris's beard. Whoa! I'm midway through a werewolf transformation. This is cool, chat. So we seem to have a nice even split. Those who have seen and those who have not. I wonder if it's the generational divide, chat. I know like a lot of people who are younger have not seen a lot of these classic movies. But that's fine because I'm gonna tell you the story, chat, of the Wolfman. So if you never watched this film, you'll know what happens. You'll know what happens, chat. So we open up. Good old Larry Talbot, played by Lon Chaney, which is so interesting. It really shows how over time, like how the leading man has changed. But like in a lot of these movies, a lot of the Universal monster movies, like the central character or protagonist, he's not like, I would say, like a classic leading man. Like Lon Chaney Jr., because of his alcoholism, I mean, it caused him to get like a little puffy, and he's very bloated in this movie. You look at him like, okay. He's kind of like an everyman, like a Joe Schmo. And he's so fucking tall. He's like 6'5" or something like that. And so he's very imposing when he's standing next to a person. He's wide too. But I always thought it's like, man, when they're trying to sell him like, oh, it's this handsome leading man. It's like, that man is fucking puffy. He's a little bit chubby. It's because of his alcoholism. He wouldn't fucking stop drinking. It's funny because Claude Rains was also an alcoholic, but I guess he exercised vigorously throughout his life, so he never looked puffy. Because Claude Rains plays his dad in this movie, who's about 2 feet taller than Lon Chaney Jr. But he like never looked like bloated or chubby or anything like that. It's really weird. And he's a thick daddy wolf man. Y'all ain't that fur that's thick. No, it's that man meat. It's that fat. A lot of fat underneath that fur. But it's crazy that, you know, how Lon Chaney Jr. played this leading man in so many movies, and he's like this fucking big chubby guy. I mean, it's kind of cool. I kind of like that. That's kind of cool. But we open up, chat, with Larry Talbot. He is returning home from a time abroad, chat. He's been gone for 20 or so years, apparently, in America, chat, trying to make his fortune. And he's returning home to his dad, chat, Claude Rains. The big reason being because Larry's brother is dead. Good old Johnny Talbot, chat. He died. He died over, so we don't know what happened. We just know that he's dead, and Larry's got to come back to this undisclosed European-esque country. It looks like Germany, and I think it is Germany or Austria or something like that, because by the time Larry Talbot, he dies, and they bury him apparently in the same fucking cemetery where Dr. Frankenstein got all of his cadavers and stuff. So I assume that's what's going on. That they live. This is just the same town. I don't know because it looks very dramatic, but it doesn't matter. But he's going back home, Jack. His brother's dead, and he meets his dad, and the dad's like, Larry, so good to have you here. It's been 20 years. Can you fix my telescope so I can be a peeping Tom on the villagers? Because that's what apparently good old Claude Rains has been doing, Chad, for the last 20 years that Larry Talbot's been gone. Is he's been peeping on all the villagers, this giant fucking industrial telescope. It's Wales. Then why the hell is he fighting Frankenstein's monster in the next movie? Doesn't make any goddamn sense. It's very weird. But, he's there. He's like, sure, Dad, because I know how to fix industrial-sized telescopes. And so he goes up to his fucking telescope tower or something. And the dad's like, all right, well, it's fixed. I don't feel like peeping right now. I don't want to be a peeping Tom yet. I'm going to go down. I'm going to get some food. I'm going to get some drinks. We'll have a nice talk. We'll talk about, the inheritance and shit and how you'll get Castle Talbot or whatever. It'll be great. And Larry's like, cool, I'll be a peeping Tom. And, he gets on the telescope. Peeping and jerking. That's all they're doing in this movie. That's what Larry's dad did. That's what Larry's going to do right here, especially in this upcoming scene. Thank you, Luke, about the Timothy's. But, Larry, he peeks through his telescope, and he's not observing the heavens, Chad. It's in broad fucking daylight. He's just looking into the town of, I don't know, where the fuck we are. Wales, I guess. Wales via Germany. But he's looking at the town, and he's looking at all the people. He's like, ugly, old, until he spots it, chat. This beautiful blonde bombshell. Woo! Sees her above this antique shop, chat. He's looking, she's fucking putting on her clothes. He's like, Larry, you goddamn dog. Get it? And he's just, he's like, oh, yes, finally. But she goes downstairs and into the antique shop where I guess she runs it, chat, with her dad. Larry sees this. Sees the name of the antique shop, Koifer. I think her name is like Koifer something. An antique shop. He's like, I'm going to go over there, and I'm going to put on my smooth Larry Talbot moves, all right? And I'm going to woo her off her feet, and we're going to get married. We're going to have a bunch of babies. That's his plan. So he goes down to that antique shop, chat, and he tries to lay on the moves. But Gwenny, the girl's name is Gwen. She learns that her name is Gwen, except, this is not her first time, in the wooing rodeo, chat. Many a man has lusted after her. How can you not, chat? Evelyn Ankers is a beautiful woman. She's a beautiful girl. And she's like, all right, she sees this 6'5" chubby guy coming and going, how you doing, baby? It smells like fucking whiskey on his breath. She's like, all right, take it easy. He's like, what do you want? And he's like, I just came in here to buy something. And she's like, okay, what'd you like? He's like, show me the most expensive thing that you have, because he feels like my money, by me buying something in her shop, I will just woo her right off her feet. And she's like, all right, okay. And so she goes over to these canes, and she's like, well, we have a number of canes. He's like, I don't like this one. I don't like this one. I want this one, this giant fucking cane with this huge silver wolf's head on it. And he's like, this one looks cool. It's like, what is this, a wolf? She goes, no, it's a dog, something that you would know about. He's like, oh, shit. And he's like, oh, hey, listen, I'm sorry. I started off on the wrong foot. I'll happily buy this, but I didn't mean to act like such an asshole. I was just peeping at you with my dad's industrial-sized telescope, and I wanted to woo you. Can we go out on a date? Can I take you out on a date tonight so you can know the real Larry Talbot? And she's like, sure, but I'm gonna charge double for that. He's like, no problem. So he fucking buys the cane. And then later that night, Shay tells his dad, I'm going to go on a date, Dad. And he's like, okay, I'm going to go peep and jerk on my telescope. He's like, you do that. I was doing that earlier. It's working great. It's like, that's why you're my favorite son. You're my favorite not dead son. Appreciate that. And so then good old Larry Talbot, chat, gets the fedora, gets the classic outfit. He goes out, and he meets up with Gwen right in front of her antique shop. But there's another person there. And Gwen's like, I would like to introduce you to my friend, Jenny, who will be accompanying us on our date. And Larry's like, fuck. But Gwen is smart. She's a smart girl, chap, because she's thinking, I ain't gonna let this 6'5", alcoholic have his way with me. I want to make sure as a friend, so in case he tries to pull any of his smooth moves, she's able to claw his eyes out or something, or stick her nail file on his goddamn side or whatever. So it's like, smart on you, Gwenny. So Jenny's like, hi, I'm Jenny, and Larry's like, good to see you, Jenny. And so he's like, well, what do you guys like to do for fun around here? And they're like, oh, we love to go down and see the gypsies. We love to go talk to the gypsies. And he's like, okay. And so they go down and they talk to the gypsies. And Jenny's like, I'm going to go have my palm read. And she goes and sits down with this one gypsy chat named Bella, who was actually played by Bela Lugosi. Funny enough, before this movie started, Bela Lugosi heavily campaigned to play Larry Talbot, the Wolfman, in the Wolfman, chat. And the big reason why he did not get this role was because, again, like many of the roles he tried to campaign for and failed to get, other than Dracula, of course, and a number of supporting characters in Universal Monster movies, was because of his accent. He had that very thick Hungarian accent, chat, and he sadly, his greatest fear in life was being typecast as Dracula, and he was typecast, and so he plays a very minor role of Bella the palm reader, Bella the gypsy. And so, good old Gwenny and Larry, they're out talking about, stuff, and she's, picking up fuzz off the ground. He's like, why are you picking up that fucking fuzz? And she's like, this ain't fuzz, this is fucking wolfsbane. This is wolfsbane. And she's going, even a man who is pure of heart and says his prayers by night, man becomes a wolf when the wolfsbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright. He's like, haha, it's a funny little poem. That's cute, that's cute. You want to make out? She's like, yeah. And they start making out, chat. It's like, whoa. But then we come back to Jenny. And good old Bela Lugosi, who he starts reading her palm and stuff, and he starts seeing some, oh, Jesus, Oh, God. He starts having, like, some bubbly guts and things. He's not feeling well, chat. And the moon be full and bright, chat. And he's like, oh, my tummy. And we see a pentagram form on his head. And she's like, what did you see in my hand? I saw your death. I saw your death. I saw your throat ripped out. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. She's like, oh, my God. And Jenny just runs off. I love how Gwen, like, brings Jenny with her and then just fucking abandons her. He's like, I didn't need you. I'm good. But Jenny just fucking runs off. And Bella, he's just like, oh. He's like, his tummy's all hurting him and stuff. And then, Chad, who do we spot come out of a tent to witness all this? Mrs. Ganoush. The Ganoush is back, Chad. She's back in town. This is her during her early days. And she's watching Bella with his tum-tum trouble. She's like, something bad's a brewing. And it's not only all the bubbly guts inside good old Bella. But we then cut back to Larry and Gwenny, who are just sloppy kissing, chat. A ton and everything like that. But then they hear a scream. Jenny be screaming her ass off. And, fucking Larry's like, Jesus, what's going on? And we cut and we see that Jenny is being attacked by what appears to be a wolf, chat. It's not a wolf. That's funny enough. It's a German Shepherd. And this is actually Lon Chaney Jr.'s German Shepherd. Because when they have the fight, he's just playing the dogs. It's like, I'm so happy that I'm here. I love you. He's just like, just playing with them. It's so fucking adorable. Oh, what happened? Good to see you. Vanispheres, thank you so much for the gifted sub. Hope you're having a very nice day, sir. Thank you for your generosity. But this German Shepherd / wolf / Bela Lugosi with tum-tum problems is just ripping up Jenny, chat, just biting her and just ripping out her throat, and her intestines are like, Jenny's not having a good day, chat. She shouldn't have come out tonight, okay? She shouldn't have tried to ruin Larry and Gwen's day, all right? And so fucking Larry, he waddles over like, stop. Oh, and he can't really run that far, chat, because he's got a lot of thickness around the middle. But he gets over there and he takes the cane and he starts beating the shit out of the Bela Lugosi dog. But then the dog throws itself on top of him and it bites his chest. He's like, but he's like, he beats it to death with the cane, and then he passes the fuck out. He beats it to death, but he passed the fuck out because of his injuries at this point. And then everyone goes over there, the other gypsies and stuff, and the police are showed up because they heard some commotion. And they check on Larry, and Larry's just like, he seems to be all right. Seems to bite marks. Take him back to his father, Claude Rains, so he can recover. And they go over, and they see, like, the wolf, chat, but it's not a wolf anymore. The person that they see there is Bela Lugosi, just beaten to death, chat. His face unrecognizable. That's a man. That's a man. But Gwen's like, I heard my friend screaming, and Larry came over to save her, but it was a wolf. That's what we saw. I don't understand this. And they're going, this is a mysterious thing. It's a mysterious thing. We have questions for Larry Talbot and his father. Eventually, we cut back to the Talbot residence, chat, where Larry's been sleeping all goddamn day. He's been tired. He's fatigued, Chad. He gets up. His dad's there. He's like, Dad, is everything okay? He's like, I'm okay. Are you okay? You had a nasty scare last night. With Jenny. He's like, there was this wolf that attacked her. And it's like, well, that's why the police are here to talk to you about this. And he's like, what are you talking about? And the police come in, and they're like, listen, we heard about the incident last night. We have had conflicting reports from different witnesses, eyeball witnesses. I know you were with Gwen. She said this, and you're saying that you saw this wolf, but we didn't find a wolf body. We found a local gypsy, a man named Bela Ganoush. And he's gonna have his funeral today and everything, but we don't know about any wolf. He's like, I know what I saw. He's like, okay, Mr. Talbot, take it easy, relax. We're just here to ask you some questions. He's like, I'm not fucking crazy. And he's like losing his mind at this point. We're like, okay, all right, take it easy. And so the entire town at this point is like suspicious of Larry. They're suspicious of him. Like, we have this, like, outside procession for Bela Ganoush, chat, a horse-drawn carriage, and he walks by, and Larry sees this. He's like, I didn't kill that man. And he wants to go talk to Gwen because he hasn't seen her, chat. He's been in bed for the last few days at this point. And so he enters the shop, and you have all these fucking Karens It's like this is 1941 era Karen show where they're all talking about Gwen is a whore. She's a horrible whore. Why would she go out at night with a man like that? She has a fiance. Doesn't she care about Frank? I mean, what kind of town are we living in where a whore like Gwen can do this? It's like, ladies, get the fuck out of here, all right? It's not your goddamn life. You leave her alone. And Larry tells them off. He's like, bitches, you better fucking leave, all right? Don't be talking bad about Gwen in front of me, all right? He has the cane and everything. And they're like, oh, God, the murderer, and they fucking leave. Eventually, Larry talks with Gwen, who was right in the other parlor hearing all of the Karens talk about and calling her a whore and stuff. And he's like, listen, Gwen, I just wanted to come here and talk with you. By the way, I just found out you're like engaged and you're set to be married soon. Kind of weird that you were like, clearly she doesn't give a fuck about this guy, whoever this other person is, chat. This Frank. Because her eyes are set on Thick Daddy Thickums Larry Talbot, Chad. That's who she's all about right now. Good old Lon Chaney Jr. So I don't know about Frank, but they're talking things. He's trying to work this out. He's like, I'm trying to remember what I saw. Like it was a wolf, but people were telling me it was a person. What did you see? She's like, I don't know. I'm so confused and I'm horny all the time. I don't know what's going on. And then fucking Frank comes in. We meet Frank, and Larry's like, good to meet you, Frank. I know that you and Gwen are getting married. Put her there. And fucking Frank just looks at, like, the cane that Larry has, just stares at it, and just super awkward, and is like, he's like, that's the murder weapon. That was the weapon you used to kill Bella Ganoush. And he's like, I gotta go. And Larry just fucking runs out. He just gets out of there, and Gwenny is like, Frank, why are you being such a prick? Why are you being such an asshole to Larry? He's like, it was just something about the cane. I was transfixed on it. I don't understand. I don't know what came over me. But Larry, he leaves. And he sees the procession for Bella Ganoush is still going on, Chad, and taking him to the graveyard. And he's like, he almost needs, like, confirmation. He's like, I need to just see the body to see, like, was I the one who actually did this? When I beat this wolf, was I the person? So he goes there, and he's spying, check, because we see Mrs. Ganoush, and she's talking to the priest, and the priest is like, listen, we've done Bella's last rites, but I don't know if I can stand by here and let you do this pagan gypsy ceremony. And Mrs. Ganoush is like, listen, motherfucker, we didn't ask you to use your Christian traditions on Bella, all right? I'm going to do my thing. He's my son. And that Larry hears, he's like, oh my God, I killed her son, or maybe I didn't kill her son. I don't know what's going on. He's so confused. She's like, I'm going to read him our last rites, okay? And you can stand by. And the priest is like, blah, 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 blah. And he fucking leaves. He's all pissed off about it. But Mrs. Ganoush, she opens the coffin. She opens the coffin and sees, Bela Lugosi, mush face. He's got like a potato face now, chat. It's like, imagine if you took a potato, right? And you did like, it's a baked potato, and then you smushed it like a lot, and it became mashed potato. But you're like, God, no, I want the baked potato. So you got to put all the mush back inside, and you sew it up. So that's what Bela Lugosi looks like now. He looks like a mashed potato turned back into a baked potato. It's not great. And then she recites this famous line, this famous line, which we hear another time in the movie. And she says, well, actually two more times. She says, the way you walked was thorny, though no fault of your own. But as the rain enters the soil, the river enters the sea. So tears run to a predestined end. Now you will have peace for eternity. And fucking, she leaves, Mrs. Ganoush leaves, and Larry, he looks in, he sees Bella's mush potato face. He's like, oh God, he's a potato man. And he feels really bad about it. He's just consumed with guilt because he thinks like, okay, I guess I did do this, and I guess he did become a man, but I thought he saw a wolf. And so he's got all these conflicting feelings, Chad, and he goes home. He just goes home, and he doesn't know what to do. Next night, it's this big fucking festival. The whole town's celebrating with the gypsies. Everyone's doing fucking parties, and you got like party games and stuff. It's great. Frank and Gwen are there, and they spot Larry, who's just like, just in kind of like a state of shock, just mindlessly like going between game to game and looking at people, but not really like talking to anyone because he feels so awkward now. He's starting to feel isolated, which again is really good. Like as much as I'm making fun of Lon Chaney Jr. and his thickness, he's giving it his all. He's giving a great performance here. You really do feel his isolation, sadness, and betrayal. But he's going from place to place, and Frank wants to make up with Larry, and he takes Gwen. He's like, hey, Frank, hey, listen, man. I just want to apologize for any awkwardness before. you know, a lot of crazy things been going on right now, but spend the night with us. Spend the night with us. And, you know, and fucking, you know, Larry's just like, I really want to fuck your wife, but I don't think it'll be good for me to be here with you. We're like, hey, come on, let's play a game. Let's play some shooting. Let's play some, I don't know, not skeet shooting, but like, hey, like, you know, airsoft guns or something. Let's play airsoft guns. So they each get this fucking airsoft gun, right? And they, you know, they hit these targets on these, on this, you know, like this rotating thing. This little target comes up, and Larry, he gets his gun. He's like shooting each and every fucking target, chat, with his airsoft gun. Hits the little fucking deer, hits the bear, hits the, you know, the crocodile. I don't fucking know. And the last one that gets put up, chat, is a wolf. And he's like, oh God, he freezes, chat. He freezes because he remembers the wolf. He remembers the wolf that he beat and the conflicting feelings that he has. And he's like, oh, I don't know. Luke the Boss, thank you so much for the 10. I think you mean BB guns. Yeah, whatever. Airsoft guns, BB guns. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Oh, Lord. Oh, too bad Twitter did not get hacked too. Oh, yeah. Everything's getting hacked today, sadly. There's some issues in the social media sites, chat. But he fucking freezes, and Frank, he shoots the wolf, and he's like, well, you couldn't get that last one there, Larry. Larry's like, you beat me. I'm going to go home. He's like, oh, come on, man. No, let's keep playing. He's like, no, I'm just not feeling very well. I need to go. And so he heads out of the festival area, chat, but he's stopped by who? Mrs. Ganoush. And she's like, I want to talk to you, Mr. Talbot. And he's like, I want anything you're selling. She's like, I have nothing to sell you, okay? I'm here to talk to you about what you're going through. And he's like, I know who you are. You're the mother. You're the mother of Bella, the man you killed. And he's like, I didn't kill your son. She's like, what you killed was not my son. If anything, you made sure you ended his suffering. I'm not mad at you. It was inevitable what would happen. I'm here to help you as best I possibly can. Come into my tent so I can talk to you. So Mrs. Ganoush can talk to you. And so she sits him down. She's like, so, Larry, what do you know about werewolves? And he's like, I don't know. I don't know. And what Mrs. Ganoush does, chat, she basically lays down all the facts about werewolves. She's like, okay, this is how it works. This is how it works, all right? Werewolf lycanthropy, it's passed down via a bite, okay? And when you know that you are cursed with the wolf's bite, a pentagram appears above the bite mark. Let me go ahead and see that thick chest of yours. Let me see that thick man bosom. And he takes off his shirt, and what do we see, chat? A pentagram. He's like, it's just a bite mark. She's like, bite marks don't look like pentagrams, you stupid, dumb idiot. And he's like, oh, God. And he's like, well, how do I fight against the curse? He's like, well, you can use Wolf's Bane. That'll help prevent it for a little while. You can also keep it at bay at the very least. In order to effectively end the curse, you can kill a werewolf using silver, like a silver bullet or a silver dagger or sword, or maybe like a thing with like a silver dog's head, like a silver wolf's head, like your cane. He's like, oh, God. And he's like, is there any other way? She goes, nope. That's it. Otherwise, when the full moon rises, the werewolf is birthed, it'll come out of you, and there's nothing that we can do to stop it. And he's like, I gotta get out of here. She's like, yep, okay, I'm gonna go tell everyone that there's a werewolf in camp. And she starts whispering like she's in high school, like Mrs. Ganoush High School. She starts telling everybody about there's a werewolf in camp. Everyone starts fucking panicking, like, oh, Jesus Christ. They're like fucking grabbing their kids and throwing them in their little, horse-drawn carriages. And Larry's like, what's going on? Why is everyone panicking? And they're like, there's a werewolf here. There's a werewolf. And he's like, oh, God. And he feels all bad and guilty about it. Deadpool, think of 100 bees. Werewolf. Werewolf points in the distance. There. Thank you, Deadpool, for all that support. And so he goes back home, Chad. He goes back home, and he's not feeling too good. He's not feeling too good. He's going, oh. He's got the bubbly guts. All of a sudden, his tum-tum hurts, and he's got to takes off his shirt, chat, and he's getting like really hairy. He's getting some thick hair, chat, and he's like, oh, what's going on? He looks in the mirror, and he starts getting like a 5 o'clock shadow. He's all confused about it. Thank you. Brando Calrissian, thank you for the host. Welcome to stream. Hope you're doing very well. But he's getting a lot of hair train. He's like, oh, he's getting the bubbly guts more, and he sits down, chat, just farting and shit. And we see his cankles, chat. See them thick daddy cankles as more and more hair starts to form. He takes off his sock. He starts to look more wolf-like until finally his entire body, chat, is covered in thick werewolf hair. In this case, yak hair. They killed many a yak, chat. Many a yak died in order to complete Lon Chaney Jr.'s transformation. And then, chat, we cut we see his wolf-like feet, and he gets up and he just walks out of the house. And then and this is interesting because we see that he like took off like all of his clothes, chat. I mean, Larry Talbot was just kind of like he was sure cocking it, chat. You just saw the manhood of the Wolfman, just sure cocking it. And the very next scene, he's completely dressed. Did the Wolfman just decide to put on his button? Did the Wolfman take the time to button up his shirt? Like he did. It's like, I saw that you took your fucking shirt off. Why is it suddenly back on? And like, it's weird. It's like, this is the shirt. It's like completely buttoned up. And he took this off. He was wearing like a wife beater before. Doesn't make any goddamn sense, but he's wearing this shit, and he's doing his werewolf thing. I will say my one criticism about this movie, because it's good. It's very good, and the werewolf costume looks really great for the time, chat, and Lon Chaney Jr.'s performance is great. But the Wolfman has, like, he does three things. He will reveal himself to his victim. He will then walk up to them like, and he just chokes the shit out of them. Just, I'm gonna fucking choke you. Doesn't fucking bite him. Doesn't do anything like that. Just reveal myself. She just struts up to them, chat, with them thick, hairy werewolf cheeks, and he just starts just choking them, which is very weird. Very weird that he doesn't. I mean, I get it because, they couldn't show him actually biting anybody. And they're like, you can see here the man's throat was ripped out, even though we can't show it. Can't do it. But he comes upon this one guy as a grave digger, and he's just digging graves all day. He can't wait to go back home to the missus, chat. And he turns around and he sees this fucking thing looking at him. He goes, Jesus Christ. But he doesn't run. He doesn't run or anything. Like, you would run at this point. He's like, no. Oh, yeah, the Wolfman does the creep. Do the creep. Totally does the creep. But the gravedigger, he just stands there like, as, the Wolfman just, and he just fucking starts choking the shit out of him. Just strangles him. And then it's like later that night, and someone found the body, and the police are like, yes, it looks like the man died of strangulation mixed with disembowelment. We didn't see him disembowel this poor son of a bitch, Jess, poor gravedigger. But it's like, bad dog. Yes, indeed, now you're brownie. Hope you're doing well. But they're like, this is weird. Who could have done something like this? Maybe there's some truth to Larry Talbot's story. Maybe there is a wolf prowling our village. And so we then cut back to Larry Talbot's the Talbot mansion, the residence chat, the castle, if you will. And it's all like Larry's room is all covered in like paw prints and shit, muddy paw prints. He wakes up, he's like, oh, my tummy. He ate a lot of man meat last night, chat. And he wakes up and he sees like, oh shit, the muddy paw prints in the window. He climbed up apparently the wall and got into his bedroom there. And he starts, like, cleaning everything up, cleaning the paw prints away. He hears, like, his dad knock on the door. And then he goes to the windowsill and he sees one of the police officers coming, one of the detectives he spoke with earlier. And they're just looking at him like, oh, I know, you're doing something weird up there. You jerking it? You sure cocking it? And he closes the window and he draws the curtains and everything. And so at this point, it's like, it's not looking good. It's not looking good for Larry. He's getting these visions, these ideas of things that maybe he's done or maybe not has done. He's very confused. And his dad comes to the door. He's like, "Listen, so we have the police here, and they want to talk to you for a second." And he's like, "Okay." And so they all come downstairs. And they start talking, and Larry, they have a doctor there too. They have the family doctor there, and Larry says, "I think I'm cursed with lycanthropy. I think I'm a werewolf." And the doctor's like, "Larry, your situation over everything that happened with Bella clearly has given you intense anxiety and stress. You are not a werewolf. You got to take it easy, okay? You're not." And obviously, Claude Rains at this point is very concerned about his son. And, Claude Rains is like, how about we just go to church, I'm sure a little bit of that JC that good old God and his son JC will help you out. Larry's like, I don't know. And so they all get dressed up and they go to church. But, the fucking Karens are there. The Karens are talking about, there's been another murder. Like, they're all, talking about it. Ooh. And as soon as they see Larry come up in the car, they're like, oh, they go inside the church. And, Claude Rains, he goes and sits down in the front pew. Larry walks in and he sees, all the Christian iconography, and he sees, all the people turn around to look at him. And this is a great scene because he feels so fucking isolated. He's just looking at everyone as everyone's looking at him. He just fucking runs out. He just gets out of there. And his dad's like, where are you going? Larry, what's wrong? Where are you going? Where are you going, Larry? And at this point, I think it's later in the night. He goes later in the night, and he transforms again because he can't help himself because he's like out in the fucking forest, and he transforms, chat, and he's walking around prowling. He's looking for more of that man meat. Impeccably dressed, by the way, like still impeccably dressed, chat. Like I don't know, he wasn't wearing that earlier, but he gets the same fucking outfit again. So I guess he went back home with his werewolf form. He's like, the werewolf is like, why the fuck am I shirt cocking it? I need me some good blue jeans, and I need me that button-up shirt. So he goes back home, and the werewolf changes. Then he goes out prowling, hunting, chat. But as he's prowling and hunting, he's doing his thing because the hunter's already out there. They're looking for okay, I guess there is some evidence that there is a wolf, something that's out here killing people. So they started to lay down like a bunch of traps and shit. And so they've been laying down all these bear traps. And because Larry Talbot has these thick, dumb cankle feet, he makes a step, chat, steps right into a fucking bear trap. Boom, right onto that cankle. And he fucking goes down. He's trying to bite his own fucking foot out. But thankfully, the Ganoush, Mrs. Ganoush, she's nearby. And she goes over the wolf man who's kind of like passing out and shit because of the blood loss. And she recites the fucking poem, chat. The way you walked was thorny, though no fault of your own. But as the rain enters the soil, the rivers enter the sea. So tears run to a predestined end. Now you will have peace for eternity, chat. And she uses her Mrs. Ganoush powers to calm him. And he becomes Larry Talbot again. He becomes Larry Talbot. And, she helps him get the bear trap. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I'm so fucking scared and shit. She's like, listen. What you need to do is you need to make peace with your loved ones, and you need to leave. You need to leave and get out of here so you can never hurt anyone again. That's the only way, because I know you love your family. I understand that, but you need to do this. So you need to make amends, make connections with anyone before you go. And he's like, okay, I gotta go do that. And so he and he's just walking in the woods. Barefoot and stuff, just shivering and everything. Plus, he doesn't have a fucking drink, I imagine. I think that was the one day Luncheon Jr. didn't have a fucking shot of whiskey. And that's why he has the alcohol shakes. But he's going to the woods, and he just comes upon these two hunters, oh, is that Larry Talbot? And they go up to him, and they're like, what, Mr. Talbot, why are you out here without any socks? Without any shoes? And he's like, I'm just looking for the wolf like the rest of you guys. Yeah, I gotta go. He just fucking takes off. And I'm like, what a strange you was. And so he goes all the way. It's late at night. And he goes to Gwen's house, which is above the antique shop. And he's like a horny kid. He's like, grabs some rocks and just starts throwing them at her window, which I thought, if you do that, it would go right through the fucking window. But she wakes up and she sees Larry, who's just like, and she goes down. It's like, oh my God, Larry. And she goes down. She lets him inside. It was a very good scene between Evelyn Anchor, Shanlon Chaney Jr. And she's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? He's like, I'm here to tell you that I have all these feelings for you, but I don't want to hurt you. I need to go. I need to leave here forever. And she's like, I want to go with you. Frank is fucking boring as shit. And I want to be with you, Larry. I want to be with my thick daddy. And he's like, I want to be your thick daddy, Gwenny. I do. But I'm a monster. I'm a werewolf and I'm a murderer. You be in love with a murderer. I killed a man. She's like, I don't care about any of that. I love you, Larry. He's like, I love you too, but I gotta get out of here. And then her dad comes down. He's like, what the fuck are you two talking about? What the fuck is that? I heard Thick Daddy, I heard murder, and I heard Frank boring as shit. Who the fuck? What? I heard a lot of stuff. upstairs. What are you talking about? He's like, sir, I'm sorry. I need to get away from here. I need to go. And he fucking takes off running. And Gwenny's like, no, Larry, come back. Ow, I poked myself in the eye. Ow. I'm Larry, come back. I love you. And he's like, no. And so he runs back home where Claude Rains is just, drinking and smoking and shit. Larry comes in. And he's like, Dad, I need your help. And he's like, oh, my son, I'm here to help you. What's wrong? He's like, I'm a fucking werewolf, Dad. He's like, you're not a werewolf, Larry. You're just sick. Okay, you're having this guilt because of what happened. It's fine. I'm here for you. Like, then this scene between Claude Rains and Lon Chaney Jr. is also very good, Chad. I feel the emotion between them. And where it's just a dad trying to understand his son and help him through this. And he's like, son, well, what do you need me to do? What can I do for you? And he's like, you just need to stay with me. I could show you, but I don't want to hurt you. So like tie me down to the chair, put ropes around me, and so you'll see the transformation. So you'll know, and you'll know what needs to be done afterwards. He's just to placate his son. He's like, okay, let's go do that. We'll go do that right now. And so they go up to his bedroom. And Claude Rains just ties all these fucking ropes around Lon Chaney, puts him in the chair and stuff like that. And he's like, hey, I'm going to sit here with you. But then there's a knock on the door. And one of the hunters has come by. He's like, say, Master Talbot, we need you out looking for the beast that killed more people. Apparently, he's been killing a ton of people, chat. And, fucking Claude Rains is like, I'll be right there. And Lon Chaney's like, but Dad, don't leave me. I need you. He's like, I'll be right back. I'll be back in an hour. I'll check on you. I'm sure everything will be fine. But before he leaves, Larry says, Dad, before you go, take the cane. Take the silver cane for protection, okay? You'll need it. It's the only thing they'll be able to defeat a werewolf. And he's like, will do, son, will do. If this makes you feel better, I'll do it. And he fucking leaves shit. And then apparently those fucking bonds, those ropes didn't mean jack shit. Because Larry just transforms into a werewolf again, Chad. They're not even there. It doesn't even show him struggling to break out. He just gets out of them, Chad. And so he just goes out and he just starts, going to the, just goes to the forest, just starts choking the shit out of more people, Chad. And implied, ripping their throats out and eating their innards and things. But after this, we see Claude Rains. He's talking with the hunters and stuff. They set up like a little base of operations, and he's walking around and things, and he sees the Ganoush, Mrs. Ganoush. She stops by, and he goes over to talk to her. And she's like, I'm looking for your son. He seemed quite distressed. He's like, it's because of you. It's because of you and these fucking stories that you filled his head with. I heard about all this werewolf nonsense. You need to stop. And she's like, I'm trying to save your life. I'm trying to save your son's life and the ones that he loves, okay? All right? Listen, my son had this affliction. Your son killed my son, but it was the only way to stop him. Okay? I'm going to give you all the exposition for werewolf stuff. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about, Mrs. Ganoush? Listen to me. And she tells him all this stuff. Meanwhile, Gwen, she has gone into the forest, and she's gone on to the hunters. She's like, where the hell is Larry? I need my thick daddy. And they're like, we haven't seen him. We have. And so she continues to go into the woods deeper and deeper. Funny enough, fun fact, this set that they used for the forest scene was very large. And it was on the Universal backlot like 60 years after they filmed it, because it was used in other movies and things like that. It was eventually destroyed, but it was around for like 20 years and used in a lot of films. And Evelyn Ankers, during this whole sequence, it took a little while. It took like several days to film. One time when they finished filming for the day, because of the fumes used for all the smog and the fog and in the mist, she inhaled so much that she fucking passed the fuck out, and no one knew about it for several hours until like an extra found her and went, she's not breathing. But they got her oxygen. So who fucking knows what that stuff was that they were pumping onto the set yet, but she actually passed the fuck out. And so, she runs out in the forest, and of course, fucking Larry's like, ooh, I smell me a hot piece of lady. And so he sees, he sees old good Evelyn Ankers, sees Gwenny. She's like, oh my God, it's a monster. And, he fucking starts strangling the shit out of her. But then fucking Larry's dad, Claude Rains, he sees this along with Mrs. Ganoush, and he fucking runs in there and starts beating the shit out of the Wolfman with the cane. Shit is fucking hitting him on the head like, you let her go. And so in a way, Chad, this is the Wolfman versus the Invisible Man. Because Claude Rains famously played Dr. Jack Griffin, Invisible Man. So there you go. It's the closest thing you're ever going to get to it, chat. And so Larry's dad just starts beating the shit out of Larry, just like that until he fucking falls over. And, Gwenny comes over, Mrs. Ganoush comes over, and, Claude Rains like, oh, I don't know what this is, what kind of beast this is. And Mrs. Ganoush says, this is no beast. This is your son. And she starts to recite the poem. He's like, what are you talking about? He says, the way you walked was thorny, though no fault of your own. But as the rain enters the soil, the river enters the sea. So tears run to a predestined end. Now you have peace for eternity. He slowly turns back into Larry Chet because he dies. And everyone else comes around, all the hunters, they're saying like, oh, Larry, looks like Larry fought off the wolf that tried to kill Gwen. He was right the whole time. And Claude Rains is just sitting there because he's like, I just murdered my son. And Gwen is just crying because the person she loved has died. And that is the Wolfman, Chad. It's a really sad fucking ending. Probably definitely one of the best endings of the Universal Monster movies, Chad. But yeah, sadly, Larry Talbot, he does eventually beat the curse, although it's many sequels later on where he falls in love with someone and the curse is destroyed forever. But it takes a long time. But it's a very tragic end for this character. Like he was so scared, and like the only way that he could be stopped is by his father's hand, and the father didn't even know that he killed his son until that moment. He's just like, oh my God, I did this. But it was the only way. It was the only way, chat. And that, my friends, is the Wolfman. Really, my only criticism of the movie overall, chat. Like, again, the performances are great. Like, I made fun of Lon Chaney Jr. because of his weight, but he does a really good job. Evelyn Ankers does a really good job. Claude Rains does a great job. The actress who plays the Ganoush, Mrs. Ganoush, her name is actually not Mrs. Ganoush. Her name is, what's the character's name? Maleva is the Romani Fortune, played by Maria Uspinskaya, and she was like a Russian actress, stage actress, and she found like great success in Hollywood as an older woman later on, chat, in the 30s and 40s and 50s. But I call Mrs. Ganoush, because I love the Ganoush. Alex loved the review better than sex. Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. Like for myself, like again, my only criticism of the movie is just with the fact that he's like, I'm gonna choke you. He just fucking strangles. He reveals himself, not in a sexual way, reveals himself, just creeps up to them and just starts choking the shit out of them. Other than that kind of goofy way he kills people, like it's really good. Performances are great. The sets, some of the best sets. Has a really good score too. This is when they started using like the scores in the monster movies. Because in the original like 30s like Dracula and Frankenstein and stuff, they didn't have a score. So it was cool to hear a score for this movie. Yeah, I really liked it. Great direction, chat. So overall, yeah, I give this is a full price movie. Definitely a full price movie, chat. Wayne Brady style, just forehand and backhand. I would have fucking thought like the Wolfman was gonna smack someone. It's like, nah. He was one backhand away from being that. But I'm glad you guys liked the review between Dracula and Frankenstein. Where does this one land? I think this is in the middle. I think this is better than Dracula, but I think Frankenstein's a little bit better. But this is still great. I'm gonna choke you, grabs your neck and shakes violently. Wayne Brady style. Chris, your accent sounds like the Droogs from the Clockwork. What if? It's very cockney. It's your cockney accent. Oh, I also like the police inspector in the psychiatrist movie. I say every character is very memorable in this movie, and like to say the late 1930s movies where outside the central performance, the characters weren't memorable. Yeah. Totally. Like the two most memorable people in like Dracula, obviously. Well, three are Bela Lugosi, of course, Van Helsing, and Renfield. Yeah, Redfield. But there you go, chat. Hope you liked the review. And now, my friend, Classman Button whispers, hello, chat. Thank you, Newsy Ducky. So how does the Wolfman appear in other movies if he died? So I can answer that question. In the beginning of Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, what happens is that they bury Larry Talbot. And he's there, like, but then, in the Talbot mausoleum. And then it's robbed, like, years later or something by a couple of grave robbers, and they open up his sarcophagus, and moonlight hits his body, like a full moon hits his body and resurrects him. And he fucking turns into a Wolfman. He kills those sons of bitches. And then he escapes. And I guess that's when he goes to fucking Germany. And he also the fucking gypsy, Mrs. Ganu, she's also there. And she helps him find Frankenstein's monster because they transfer the power of the wolf to the monster. Then he could eliminate the curse through science. Maybe not through magic, but through science they could do it. Definitely doesn't work out that way. And it's like several other films where Larry Talbot, he has this cycle of he falls in love with a new woman who tries to help him, but she has to kill him. That's how it happens each time. He eventually does break the curse in Castle Dracula, which is actually interesting. It's Dracula and the Wolfman are actually working together to eliminate their respective curses. Like Dracula doesn't want to be a vampire anymore, and Larry doesn't want to be a werewolf anymore, and they're trying to work to get rid of their afflictions, which is kind of interesting. I like that. Divine Miss Klein, welcome to stream. Hope you're doing very well. Good to see you. Oh, Lord, just got finished with my review of The Wolfman. Very good Universal Monster movie, in my opinion, chat. It's a whole lot of fun. Why, hello. Indeed. Oh, gentlemen. Why, hello, gentlemen. Good to see you. Oh, my Lord. Wolfman always gets cockblocked. Well, I mean, I get it. It's that curse. That curse that does it. Oh, Lord, chat. Who's Ducky? That was great. Chris writes all of his sexual innuendos from my future erotic fanfic. Yeah. T-Bone. Good to see you, T-Bone. No, in case I missed anyone during my review, welcome to the stream. Hope you're all doing very well. I get into it, chat. I get into the meat of these reviews. So I hope you liked it. Hope you liked it a lot. But now, my friends, have you seen Abigail? I've not seen those. I haven't even seen Castle Dracula or anything, or House of Frankenstein. I just read about it. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I read today that, Larry Talbot, he does eventually escape the werewolf curse, but it takes years. And many deaths and resurrections, yeah. I haven't seen many films pre-1960. I did enjoy Bride of Frankenstein is great. I think that might be the best of the Frankenstein. Actually, the Frankenstein trilogy, original Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, and then Son of Frankenstein are pretty good. It's in Son of Frankenstein where they introduce Igor in 1939. Yeah, he doesn't come in until that movie. Great review. Thank you, sir. Maybe thank you. Oh, my Lord. He needs to hook up with Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Yes. She's in the hairy men. She's in the thick, hairy men. Bears, if you will. I enjoy House of Frankenstein, which is not perfect. House of Dracula is boring, in my opinion. And Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein is very funny. Cool. Very nice show. Well, now, guys, I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to get myself a beverage. In the meantime, please entertain yourselves amongst yourselves. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to play them single-player spoopy shenanigans, Shaq. I'm jumping in some Outlast. So stick around, my friends. I'll be right back.